Let's do a bit of level setting. What is the Global Signal Exchange?
Yeah, the Global Signal Exchange is a new, what they call global clearinghouse for the exchange of scam and threat intelligence. We support all signal types in this exchange. For example, domain names, URLs, IP addresses, and we have secure channels for personal identifiable information, things like bank accounts, bank numbers, email addresses, and more.
So just loads to unpack there. What's a signal? You've talked about it being different data. You've talked a list of different data types, so it's clear that it's not just one thing. Well, why signal?
Yeah, I think it's important to differentiate between signals, which are potentially low quality intelligence from different people who aren't necessarily themselves threat reporters. So they might be a member of the public who really can't differentiate between something that's annoying, like spam, and something that's harmful or misleading, like scams and the beginning of a fraud attack. And so what we're doing is we're trying to make an environment that's very open to everybody to share things they're worried about and to have others as a community verify those, what we call signals. So we call them signals because they're not kind of hard evidence that would stand up in court, but we need those early hints at things that may be bad so we can differentiate between the bad and the good.
Mark, just coming to you, why would anybody, what's the point of intelligence sharing or signal sharing? Why do people think that this is the right thing to do to fight scams and fraud? Can you just help us make the links?
Yeah, I think a number of different reasons why people would want to do this, but primarily I think the more information we share together, particularly, the more action can be taken quickly. And we're currently in an environment where, sadly, it's a bit about whack-a-mole. And we're hoping that over the coming sort of months and years, we'll see the landscape shift. And there'll be more of a sort of consolidated approach to solving this problem, across the world. But at the moment, a lot of it's about having access to the right information as quickly as possible, so you can take action.
Lucian, do you have anything to add there?
Yes, if you look at other areas where signal sharing occurs, obviously in threats of war, you're going to observe things you're worried about. It may be a flock of birds, it may be incoming missiles. If you think about child protection laws, there were actually what's called safeguarding signal sharing requirements put in place following harm to children. There was quite a particular case that was quite prolific. And there you found that a lot of parties who had knowledge had access to a lot of what they call signals, but they didn't have the full picture. And it was by combining the full picture that you were able to determine that something bad was happening, not any single part. And also things like the aircraft industry. Pilots are required to relay signals about possible bad weather and things like that. It may or may not be, but you're just required to relay it to help others make a determination.
So nobody sees the full picture, and joining up those bits of information can really be helpful. Mark, the Global Signal Exchange hit a big milestone over the weekend. Tell us what that was, and technically, tell us a bit about how you, as Chief Operating Officer, enable the platform to stand up to scale and speed.
Yeah, so we're very excited to say that we've crossed the 1 billion signal mark this weekend. So having started with just 40 million signals at the beginning of the year, we've now grown sort of 25-fold up to 1 billion signals, which I think has been a surprise to many of us that the growth has been that good in such a short period of time. But it is a real testament, I think, to the people we've got working with us and their sort of commitment to sharing at that sort of scale. As you mentioned, we have designed a platform from the ground up to be an at-scale platform. We've used highly provisionable cloud resources to make it possible to both scale performantly, but also used, I guess, the best of our technical sort of abilities to ensure that things are well indexed, which is a term we would use for being able to retrieve data quickly. And also that even with large scale, we're still able to provide a performance that our users need. So we're delighted.
If I was a golden retriever Could you just explain to me what cloud gives you? That say the old style server under your desk wouldn't.
Absolutely. I think what we've moved into now over the last sort of 10 or 15 years is a kind of, I guess, a completely different way of provisioning resources, where before we were constrained by having to run our own servers, as you say, buying our own servers even and installing them. Then capacity was always limited. Now we work with these big operators who are basically operating them at scale for us. And what that means is that you can provision new resources within seconds rather than, having to order a server, get a new one into the rack. And so that's completely changed the game. And I think effectively we're working now with a pool of practically unlimited resources at our disposal.
I'd say for a small business, for a small organisation, that gives a sort of a great big, back office, if you like, in terms of data storage and data processing, right?
Yes.
Lucian, you wanted to say something.
I just
couldn't
don't know.
resist.
I just don't know a single golden retriever that would understand that.
I don't think I do, but actually golden retrievers are incredibly intelligent. Just putting it out there. So Mark's told us about the billion threat signals milestone. Lucian, can you talk about who is working with the Global Signal Exchange and how many organisations there are kind of in the pipeline, on the platform and so on, and some of the names that are involved?
Yes, well, the Global Signal Exchange is a not-for-profit. We established it in January last year, 2025. We're now working with 178 organisations. I can't name them all. I can talk by type because some of them are in our onboarding and contracting pipeline. But they do include 4 of the big tech platforms. That's Google, Meta, Amazon and Microsoft. And as Mark was saying, we've got access to really fantastic cloud services, but also engineers on their side who have helped us extensively with security, validating and assessing our system and our platform. But I want to say the need for a cross-border, cross-sector signal sharing platform wasn't just an idea of big tech. It was identified by a multi-stakeholder group, including banks, government, data suppliers and the big tech at what we call the Global Anti-Scam Summit. That was in Lisbon 2023. The summit organiser there, the Global Anti-Scam Alliance and Google joined forces to try and identify a partner. And it's one of the proudest moments in our life, I think, where we were identified with our experience in cyber intelligence, projects with the government, deep know-how of the internet and its technology, and also a great big set of software libraries that we developed over 20 years, which were easily repurposed and adapted to form the heart of the GSE services.
So is it just big tech that are involved?
Well, no, I've talked about 178 organisations. I've named 4 big tech. So there are 174 organisations.
So what sort of sectors are we talking about?
We're talking about the sectors that we are in talks with are bodies from the finance sector, payment gateway providers, governments, businesses, data sharers and security organisations themselves. Can you think of any others, Mark?
I think also law enforcement is quite a big one for us as well at the moment. But yes, I think the great thing about the GSE is how broad it is in terms of the reach across sectors, and that's really key to us seeing, our mission fulfilled.